Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Good evening. We are live tonight from Ellicott City, which is recovering from its second fatal flash flood in the last 2 years. Joining us first tonight to explain what happened here and talk a little about what can be done about the future is County Executive Alan Kittleman. Mr. Kittleman, thanks for the time. And for people who don't know this area, explain the terrain a little bit. We have a stream behind us. This is just one of them.
Right. In Ellicott City, it's an old mill town. It was founded back in 1772, so it's almost 250 years old. And it was built here because it's very steep and has three branches that come together and go into the Patapsco River. And so it's actually perfect for a mill town. The water comes down fairly quickly off of the hills, and it could turn the mill. And so that's why the mill was built here. And that's why Ellicott Mills, become Ellicott City, was formed. And a lot of water comes down here.
How was this storm different from the one that hit Ellicott City 2 years ago?
Well, 2 years ago, we got 6 inches of rain in about 2 hours. This time we got about maybe up to 8 inches of rain in a little longer period than 2 hours, but it definitely was a longer duration, and the flood seemed to be a longer flood. 2 years ago, it was all over in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. This one seemed like it went for several hours, and it kept coming back in the sense that we had 3 different rounds of rain. And so it was just so much rain, it just could not be handled.
What's the damage estimate? What do you know?
Well, right now the preliminary damage we heard is about $15 million so far. We could get more as we do more things, but we have a lot of areas that had tremendous damage. Ellicott Mills Drive completely lost it. In the connection with Main Street. We have a place called New Cut Road, which had some major damage. Then, of course, the infrastructure right here on Main Street.
Thoughts about the gentleman who lost his life. He was a member of the Maryland Guard, and he was trying to do what we all would like to think that we would do in that situation. He was trying to help somebody.
He is a hero. Sergeant Hermand is somebody that, I will tell people stories about him for the rest of my life, about somebody who was safe. He was in a safe location, and he saw somebody else who needed help. And as National Guardsmen are probably trained to do, he went way beyond the call of duty, and he went to help somebody that he thought needed to be saved, and unfortunately lost his life. But he is inspiring to me and to the people of Ellicott City, and we'll never forget what he was willing to do.
How do we protect people like him in the future?
Well, we have been working for a long time on that. When I got elected in 2014, I worked with County Councilman John Weinstein, and we put together an Ellicott City Flood Group back in 2015, even before the flood in 2016. So we've been working a long time, and after 2016, we did a lot of very in-depth studies to find out how the water flows and what we could do to help it. And we have been working on those mitigation efforts. We have designed and engineered and got construction funding for 2 stormwater retention ponds up the hill, and also some more piping to help redirect some of the water away from the folks on Main Street. So we've been doing a lot. It's just unfortunately this terrible second storm came 22 months later, and we couldn't get all that done. I want folks to know that we've been actively working for a long time, and we talked to some business owners today who didn't even realize how much we had been doing.
Well, can you point to anything that helped? I guess we got what, 10 inches of rain?
Maybe a little bit less than that here, but I know Catesville got about 10 inches. Yeah.
So, I mean, is that going to overwhelm anything just because of the terrain here?
If you get 8 inches of rain, it's going to be very difficult for us to stop all kinds of flooding, but we can do things to slow it down, and that's our goal, is to slow it down. And we did some changes back in 2016. The stream behind us has some new stream walls that we built after 2016. They held. And in other places, the stream walls held and things worked. So we're going to have to continue to look at other ways that we can do that. But like I say, we have a lot of things already in the pipeline. We've been working with FEMA in the state of Maryland, got a lot of support from Governor Hogan and for the federal government. So we're going to continue working on things we know the studies have shown we need to do. But now we have a new conversation, Jeff. Now we're looking at other things that might be able to do here to make people safe, because we don't want anyone else. Sergeant Hermand and the 2 that we lost in 2016, we don't want anyone else to face the possibility of losing their life in Ellicott City.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question for the county executive or any of our other guests tonight, You can email it to us this evening. Use this email address, mptnews@yahoo.com. That's mptnews@yahoo.com. Or feel free to tweet a question. The Twitter address is @mptnews. So what would it cost? The ultimate solution they talk about, there was a plan, it's boring tunnels. What would the price tag be?
Well, we don't know for sure all the price tag for everything, but we are looking at a transformative vision for Ellicott City. We're looking at an Ellicott City that's going to still be strong and it's going to have a great future to it, but it will also have maybe some changes. Maybe it won't look the way it looks right now. But I think we have to be able to bring the people together and talk about how we can change Ellicott City for the better, how we can make sure that the stream doesn't get backed up, to make sure that we don't have debris come in and hurt. And so there are a lot of things we can do. We're having those conversations now. But what I tell the people of Ellicott City is we are coming back. We may look a little different than we did, but we are coming back, and we're going to be stronger in the future.
I've heard people ask whether it makes sense to come back. Is it just too dangerous here? I mean, these two floods aren't the only two floods. There have been something like 20 over the history of the town, with a grand total of dozens and dozens of lives lost.
Ellicott City is too important to Howard County and to Maryland and to our country. Like I say, we're going to have our 250th anniversary in 2022. This is a historic landmark. This is where the first railroad, we had the very first railroad station here in Ellicott City. We need to save this for history. We need to save it for the people who live here. And there are ways in which we can do it to make sure that people are safe. And I think it's worth preserving. And so I want the people of Ellicott City to know that myself and Councilman John Weinstein and others, we've been working very hard to figure out and to work on this transformative vision for Ellicott City to make sure that we're moving forward in a safer, smarter Ellicott City for everybody.
Well, so the first email from somebody in Carroll County, isn't it time to give up and move somewhere else? Has
No,
it been
it's not.
looked at?
No,
because,
it's not time to give
well,
up.
let me ask this. When you drive down Main Street, it's not that big. You think about the big flood control projects on the Ohio River. You look at what they did in Pittsburgh and the Army Corps of Engineers, and you're protecting big cities. I don't know that kind of investment is coming for, what is it, 100 properties affected?
I think that Ellicott City is worth preserving. I think that it's good for history, it's good for the people here, it's good for Howard County, it's good for the economy. I think Ellicott City is a great place. So we are going to save Ellicott City. And I think there's ways to do it that aren't as expensive as some of these other ideas are. And I think now, because of what's happened, in all honesty, it's a different conversation. There are people who are willing now to have some different kind of conversations about what we can do to move forward that they were not ready to do so 2 years ago. And I'm excited about that possibility.
Is it possible to have some sort of warning system? I mean, nothing's going to happen today. Beautiful blue sky. But if we get a couple inches of rain, you start to worry. You get a couple more, is it time for the police to close the road, to have a siren? Cell phone alerts that people complain came too late. What can we do in terms of early notification?
It's a great question, and we had just recently worked out an arrangement with the federal government, the Department of Homeland Security, along with the National Weather Service, to put in gauges all along this stream. And those gauges over the next 6 months to a year are going to get the data we need to get a better idea on how we can develop that alert system. One of the issues is, how do you tell when you have a 3-mile watershed what's happening so far up north that it can give us some indication we're going to have a problem farther south? So we have to get those data first, and then we can make that happen. So I appreciate the help we're getting from the federal government and our partners in the National Weather Service, because I think that will help us get that alert system and do a better job.
How does anybody get insurance? Can the business owners, residents, I don't know how many residents were affected, but is insurance available?
It is available, and frankly, there are some businesses that you'll talk to that say, hey, thank God we got insurance after the 2016 flood. It's going to help us a lot to rebuild this time. So no, you can get insurance, and actually what we're doing is going to help them be able to get insurance at a less expensive rate because of the mitigation work working on the stormwater, the different piping. So I think it certainly is something people should have and they can get.
Viewer wants to know about incentives that would provide for green roofs and other features that might help to contain some of the water.
Well, we can certainly look at those. I'm open to any suggestions, and we actually have an Ellicott City master plan process that's been going on since the flood in 2016 that brought the community together, that brought a lot of experts together, and we had a lot of really good ideas that came out of that. So I think that's certainly something they can discuss as well, but I'm open to any idea that can work.
Lastly, does this affect the brand of Ellicott City? I mean, the city has come back from 19 floods now, but the two in quick succession. Are you concerned it's going to make people less willing to come down here for a night out, for a nice dinner, or whatever?
I remember the movie Apollo 13, and someone turned to Gene Kranz at the time and said, this could be the worst hour and the worst tragedy ever for NASA. And he turned around and said, no, this is going to be our finest hour. And I really believe that, Jeff. This is going to be the finest hour for Ellicott City. We're going to be a smarter, safer place, and we're going to be a community that people are going to want to live in and want to come to. And I am so inspired by the people of Ellicott City that every time I meet with them, I realize that they are going to make this community continue to be strong.
Mr. Kittleman, thank you. On our Friday program, we looked into the question of the weather events that caused the flooding. We spoke with an expert from UMBC.
This is a situation where a front had come down and stalled out across central Maryland, and the fronts do this often this time of year. And it just so happened that Ellicott City was a focus for repeated development of one thunderstorm cell after the other. We call this thunderstorm training. So Ellicott City got basically 6-7 individual thunderstorm cells in the space of about 3 or 4 hours. When you look at the records, the data that go back 100 years or so, and you then look at the frequency of these type of events, and then you extrapolate that out over hundreds, thousands of years. That's how you come up with this statistic. But it does not mean that it's not going to happen again tomorrow or next year or the next 10 years. It is simply a probability. And obviously, it has happened twice in the space of 22 months. It's basically the best we can do with the very limited amount of data we have on hand. It would be great to have data in Ellicott City that goes back thousands of years. We'd have much better predictive model for these high-end events if that was the case. But we have to do some extrapolation, and there's some error in that. Also, what's happening is that we've got this thing called climate change. And so the climate that was operating 100 years ago is not the same as what's operating today. And so the statistics that we used 100 years ago may not be directly relevant to today's state of the atmosphere. Climate change did not cause this particular chain of thunderstorms on that day and that location. That's weather, and weather and climate are two very different things. Climate change, what that has done is it's preconditioned the atmosphere so that these extreme events are more likely than they were 100 years ago. So we know the atmosphere is warmer. Thunderstorms feed off of warm air. We know the atmosphere has more humidity in it because there's more evaporation off the oceans. So that is something that those clouds can produce more rain if there's more moisture available. And we know statistically that rainstorms have been getting more frequent and more intense over the eastern United States in the past several decades.
With us now here in Ellicott City is Michelle Tersigel, owner of Tersigel's Restaurant, which has been a staple of Main Street here for how long?
We've been in business for over 40 years. We actually had to leave Main Street at one point because we had a fire, and we were gone for 5 years and came back.
What's the flooding history with your restaurant?
With the restaurant, we opened I think in 75, and I think our first flood was in 77. But that was a more, I consider it, normal flood where the river came up from the Patapsco, and we did have the Tiber River behind us, and basically it came up to about 20 feet from the restaurant, but all our basement got flooded from the Tiber River.
What did you think when you heard 8 days ago what was happening?
You know, I got a call. I only live a mile away, so I got a call from my staff, and they're like, it's starting to flood around the restaurant. And I'm like, okay. The first thing I said is, how bad is it? And I'm like, can you guys get out? That was the first thing. And at that point, they came back and said, it's already too bad to get out. And then I said, okay, just stay safe. That's the most important thing. The building's been there for over 100 years. We lasted the last flood without a problem. And so our building lasted probably till, we did a lot of improvements the last time, so it lasted till about 6 o'clock. But one thing, our door blew open, and then that flooded our basement at that point. And that was about 6 o'clock. So we probably had another hour to go, hour and a half before we were out of the window there.
You have a little bit of elevation where you are on Main Street. So what did you see from some of your neighbors?
You know, down the street, it's just devastating. You know, you see the pictures, you see the water coming down there. You can imagine, you know, how they felt while it was going on. And then, you know, just like last time, we took a drive, and to see what all our friends were like, and it was just devastating. It was the same thing, if not worse, in some areas. And it's just, we had some problems, and, it cost us some money last time, and we protected ourselves as best we can. But, you really can't, what do you do with 8 or 9 inches of rain at one time?
What are your thoughts on the future of the town? How much does this hurt?
For now, it hurts. Yeah, right now it hurts. It hurts financially. It hurts physically. And you go, okay, what are we going to do? And it's always going to evolve, and we're going to change how the town is. The town's changed. We've been, like I said, 40 years, and it's changed multiple times. Owners have changed due to whatever reason. Some have been flooding, some have been normal reasons, but you're always evolving. The town's alive, and that's the greatest thing about it. It's a living thing, and we keep on living.
We asked the county executive about the insurance question, and I was surprised, and some of the people who've been emailing are surprised that you can get insurance in like the floodplain to end all floodplains. Does it cost a fortune? How's it work?
It doesn't cost that much, and I don't even, to be honest, my wife handles most of that, but we were able to get flood insurance. We never did before because we thought we were at the top of the hill. And we're really, when we really look at it, we're in the middle of a funnel where all the water comes down. So we've always thought of flooding as the Patapsco River coming up, not the other rivers coming down. So flood, it is affordable for us. We just have to change how we do some stuff in our restaurant. Most of our infrastructure in my restaurant specifically is in the basement. So when we had the first flood, that really affected us a lot. We protected our restaurant as best we could with doing new types of windows. The only weakness we had was the door. And I think that's what every owner has to look at, is how they can do to protect themselves, not only physically, but also financially with the insurance.
Is there a warning system that you think might help, not only help during a flood, but also reassure patrons that it's safe to come to Tercegels even if there's some rain in the forecast?
Yeah, I'm sure they have to work on that. There has been work, I believe, by the county, and that would help a lot. But, again, I don't think anybody forecast 9 inches of rain at that moment. I think someone said a cold front stopped right in front of us and the thunderstorms all piled in on us. And if you look at Catonsville and Columbia, they had a lot of rain, but not as much as Ellicott City. So I think it was a freak of nature right there.
It's funny. I mean, the Weather Service reiterated the idea that they statistically see it as a 1 in 1,000-year thing, and yet it happens twice in 2 years.
Yeah.
So let's hope it's another 1,000 years.
Definitely.
All right, Michelle Tercegel's Restaurant, thank you very much. And Direct Connection continues from Ellicott City right after this.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm here to talk to you today about The Lord of the Rings. I started out loving this book because when I was in 3rd grade, my dad gave me his very well-loved copy of The Hobbit, and I completely fell in love. It's sort of an underdog story. It's somebody who decides to step up and be brave and try to save everyone else. Kids love an unexpected hero because it's a story that shows you that anyone can make a difference. No matter how big the problem is and how small you are, you can do something about it. I think that you should vote for Lord of the Rings because there's something for everyone in it. It's adventure, it's fantasy, just takes you to another world that you wouldn't be able to imagine without the help of J.R.R. Tolkien.
Vote now for your favorite book at mpt.org/Great American Read.
Back live in Ellicott City, joined now by Ryan Miller, who's the head of emergency management for Howard County, along with County Executive Kittleman. Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about the future of this town, email it to mptnews@yahoo.com, mptnews@yahoo.com. Ryan, your perspective on this event, what was the first you heard?
Well, I guess it began with being placed under, rewind the tape back a little bit, just watching the weather, being alert. Our team watches. We have a 24/7 sort of on-call process where members of our team watch the weather. We're always situationally alert. At some point, the National Weather Service placed Howard County under a flood watch, then moved to a warning. All the while, we're in communications with our stormwater management team, as well as with our 911 center. You asked earlier a little bit about the alert and warning system. Our law enforcement is anytime there's a threat of rain, watches real closely. They watch the stream channels. They're prepared to block roads. They began to do that, as well as the 911 center started to get some telephone calls for reports of flooding on roadways. During that process, we called down to the National Weather Service and asked them if they would initiate an integrated public alert and warning system notification. That's the really
That's
loud
the thing that makes your cell phone go crazy, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
So they put out another warning product right around 4:30, and it makes the phones go off, and people begin to move to high ground.
What do you want people to do in that situation? If you're in a building and there's water rushing down the street, you don't want people going outside.
Sure. That's part of the challenge. The county executive mentioned a little earlier the new program we have with the National Weather Service and the Department of Homeland Security. The challenge is it's a 4 square mile watershed. Understanding what different rain events, how they impact the watershed is a challenge. We just don't have the technology in place. So the Homeland Security has a kind of a cutting edge science group that's looking to help with that challenge. But truthfully, knowing when to evacuate, when to tell people to leave is a challenge as well. The last thing we would want is somebody to get to their car, be out in harm's way. Michelle mentioned sheltering in place, staying, moving to high ground, moving to the second floors of buildings. It really comes down to just staying away from floodwaters and choosing to stay when there's not time to leave.
How long is the event? Like the period of time that somebody's stranded in the restaurant, a couple hours? I mean, the steepness maybe works in your favor in terms of clearing it.
Sure. Well, the watershed literally clears in less than an hour. From the furthest reach of the watershed to the Patapsco River is less than an hour for water to travel that distance, so there's not much time. It also doesn't allow much time to leave. This flood was different in that the first wave came through, then the Weather Service notified us that there was a second storm cell coming, about 15-20 minutes behind that, and then a third. So the challenge is in 2016, it cleared out. You heard Michelle also talk about that it appeared like it was over, but they wisely decided to wait because more rain was coming. They didn't choose to leave. So sometimes it's one wave, sometimes it can be up to 3, as in this storm.
This may be more of a political question, so I'll ask you to give the mic to the county executive. You're welcome to weigh in on it. People have pointed to 2 things in terms of the intensity of the rainfall and where it went. One is increased development upstream in Ellicott City, more roofs, more driveways that can't absorb any water. Second, the idea that global warming is making events more intense. What do you think the impact of those things would be, and do you have to plan for it?
Well, I would certainly tell you that I think the weather is changing. What causes it? Frankly, I'm not as worried about it right now. I'm worried about how do we help mitigate the way the weather has changed. And so we know now that the 1,000-year storm does not come every 1,000 years. It could come every 22 months. And so we have to be ready for that and figure out how we can best mitigate for that. So that's what we're doing. With regard to the development, well over 60%, I believe, maybe more than that, of the development in this watershed occurred before we had much of our stormwater regulations in place. So we actually have a lot of development here that didn't have any stormwater in it. And so those are issues. And also our modeling and studies have shown the McCormick study, which looked at the hydrology, showed that even if there had been no development, you still would have had a big flood here. So I have no doubt that development contributed to it, but I think an awful big part of it is also the fact of the topography and the fact of 3 streams coming together.
Email question: I live inside the D.C. Beltway, but love Ellicott City. Is there anything that outsiders can do to help?
Well, they can certainly volunteer. We have a lot of people who have called to volunteer. They can call 410-410-313-2900, and they can get connected with who they can volunteer. They can certainly donate financially to the Community Foundation of Howard County, their disaster recovery relief fund. But one thing I want to share before I get a chance before you leave, I want to thank the people of Ellicott City for their graciousness and their kindness and their patience with us. But I also want to thank the employees of Howard County. This city has been cleaned up so quickly. And the folks who have been working day and night for our Department of Public Works, our police officers, our fire folks, our recreation parks, the dispatchers who took over 1,100 calls that day, everyone has worked together as a team to make some amazing things happen down here. You've seen people come in, throw a lot of mud into the street because they're coming from 5 to 8 p.m. on a weekday. Then they come back the next day, it's all gone. They've already cleaned it up. before they come back the next time. So because of the way we've worked together, the way we've happened, I think the people of Ellicott City are really feeling good about where we're going right now, and I'm looking forward to continue working with them.
Writer wants to know, would converting all the parking lots to grass or gravel or something porous make a difference?
You want to talk about that?
Well, certainly, County Executive mentioned a little bit ago the master planning process. These are the kinds of ideas that were explored in detail, not just by engineers and consultants, but with the community. So earlier, someone asked about green roofs. I mean, I think we're open to all types of ideas, and I think a lot of those have been discussed and even included within the master plan.
In just a second, one picture I saw showed one of the channels that carries one of these streams clogged with cars that had washed into it. Is there, in a second, a quick way to keep them out, a barrier that you could put there?
Well, that's a challenge because the stream goes under the road multiple times through culverts, under buildings. So not one easy solution for that one, keeping debris out.
We're going to leave it there. Mr. Miller, Mr. Kittleman, thank you both for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us for Direct Connection. We're back Thursday with Your Money and Business. For all of us here on the remote crew in Ellicott City, thank you for watching and have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.